Although breastfeeding is ideal and advised by healthcare professionals, formula plays a role in meeting the nutritional needs of some infants. Formula is given when breastfeeding is contraindicated for health reasons, or because mothers make a personal decision not to breastfeed, or to discontinue breastfeeding before the end of the child's first year. In developed nations, most infants receiving formula thrive. However, statistically, formula-fed infants are at increased risk for various illnesses. And this is true in all environments. There are various types of formula available for infant feeding. Most are modeled after breast milk and are cow's milk based. In general, formulas provide easily digestible protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and when properly prepared, about 20 calories per ounce. Regulated by law, they are fortified with the vitamins and minerals necessary for adequate growth and development. Almost all are fortified with iron to prevent iron deficiency anemia, a condition that has detrimental effects on the child's growth, immune functions, energy capacity, and cognition. Healthy full-term infants are thought to have sufficient body stores of iron to meet their needs until 4 to 6 months of age. However, low birth weight and preterm infants exhaust their iron stores much earlier, around 2 to 3 months. Some formulas are fortified with lower amounts of iron because some believe higher levels can cause constipation and feeding problems. Studies have not demonstrated such problems, however, and the American Academy of Pediatrics sees no role for low iron formulas in the nutrition of infants. Although the majority of cow's milk-based formulas are designed for full-term infants and those premature and low birth weight infants who have no special nutritional requirements, some are modified for babies with particular nutritional needs. For example, a formula may be lactose-free for infants who have a lactase deficiency, and another may have low levels of minerals and electrolytes for infants with heart or kidney disease. Soy protein-based formulas that account for about 25% of the formulas sold are used for full-term infants whose mothers want a vegetarian-based diet. Although some infants with proven allergy to cow's milk proteins may benefit from drinking soy-based formula, it has been shown to be at least as allergenic as cow's milk-based formula, and many infants may be allergic to it as well. Soy formulas are free of lactose, and thus may be appropriate for infants with specific conditions, such as lactase deficiency and galactosemia, a disorder of galactose metabolism. There are certain conditions in which soy formulas are not recommended, for example, for preterm infants under 4 pounds, or for the prevention of colic or an allergy. For some infants who are intolerant of cow's milk and soy milk, or who have malabsorption due to particular diseases, protein hydrolysate formulas are prescribed. The protein in these hypoallergenic formulas is broken down into its smallest form, with particles too small to be recognized by the immune system, thus minimizing an allergic response. There are other specialty formulas for low birth weight infants, and for those requiring a reduced protein intake. Mothers, of course, should consult their healthcare provider before using any of the specialty formulas. Formula comes in 3 forms. The first is powdered that must be mixed with water. This form is not commercially sterile, and an organism called Enterobacter sakazaki has been found in some samples of milk-based powdered products. In vulnerable infants, this organism can cause a serious and sometimes fatal infection. Therefore, the FDA recommends that powdered infant formulas not be used in neonatal intensive care settings unless there is no alternative available, and then special precautions must be taken. The second form is concentrated liquid that must be mixed with an equal amount of clean or sterile water. During processing, this type of formula has been subjected to high temperatures so that it is sterile as long as the can is unopened. The third form is ready-to-use liquid formula. This form too is sterile in the unopened can. In review, most commercially prepared formulas are cow's milk based, modeled after breast milk, and fortified with vitamins, minerals, and iron. Specialty formulas have been manufactured that are lactose-free, have low levels of minerals and electrolytes, are soy-based, are hypoallergenic, are formulated for low birth weight infants and for those requiring reduced protein. The common forms of formula are powdered, concentrated liquid, and ready to use. The use of formula requires the mother to learn why formula, rather than plain milk, should be given. The different forms in which the product is sold, the preparation of the formula, and measures to avoid contamination. Formula, as with breast milk, should be given for the first full year of the infant's life. During the first 6 months, formula is given exclusively. No other foods are required. Regular cow's milk, whether whole milk, non-fat milk, 1 or 2% fat, or evaporated milk, should not be given during the first year, nor should goat's milk or rice milk be offered. There are many reasons these milks put infants at risk. They deplete an infant's iron stores and increase the risk of developing iron deficiency anemia. They are not designed to meet the vitamin and mineral needs of infants. They produce allergic reactions and can cause gastrointestinal blood loss. As mentioned earlier, formula comes in 3 forms. Powdered formula is the least expensive choice, but requires the most preparation. The second form, concentrated liquid that must be mixed with an equal amount of clean or sterile water, is more costly than the powdered form. The third form, the ready-to-use liquid, is even more expensive. Even though some forms cost less than others, formula in general is quite expensive. Low-income parents who choose to or find it necessary to formula feed their infants should be encouraged to participate in a supplemental food program for women, infants, and children, WIC, where eligible mothers receive vouchers to help them pay for formula. Parents should be told, however, that these vouchers will not supply all the formula their growing babies will need, and they should expect a significant expense as their child grows. Regardless of which form of formula is chosen, the parent must read and precisely follow the instructions on the container. If there are measurements to be made, they must be accurate. If instructions direct the parent to use the scoop provided and level the scoop without packing down the formula, the parent should do just that. Preparing formula is not like making instant coffee, where a little more can enhance the flavor and there is no harm done. Adding more powder to the formula mix to make it stronger can cause the child to get too much protein and fat, excess calories, excessive levels of vitamins and minerals, but not enough water. Serious consequences such as dehydration and kidney problems can result. Diluting formula with extra water is just as harmful because the infant is not receiving enough of these vital elements. Consequently, the child will suffer from poor growth and nutritional deficiencies. 2 dangerous errors are mistaking the ready-to-use canned formula for the concentrated type, and adding water when it should not be, or using the concentrated formula and not diluting it with water. There are certain precautions mothers and caregivers must take to prevent formula-fed infants from contracting gastrointestinal infections, resulting in vomiting, diarrhea, and dehydration. Such infections are still one of the most common reasons infants are admitted to hospitals. Hand washing with soap and water before handling baby bottles and other utensils, or feeding the baby, is extremely important. Most authorities believe that sterilized bottles and equipment are not necessary for babies over 3 months old, and caregivers may dilute the powder or concentrated liquid formula with tap water from a municipal water system rather than with sterile water. Well water sources that are questionable should be tested to assure they do not have contaminants such as high levels of nitrates. Not using sterile water and equipment does not mean, however, that sanitation should be disregarded. Since formula-fed infants do not receive antibodies from breast milk and consequently have fewer defenses against harmful microorganisms, all supplies should be very, very clean. For example, caregivers should wash the top of the formula can and the can opener with detergent and hot water, and then thoroughly rinse them before opening the can. After use, the bottles, nipples, can opener, mixing cups, spoons, and knives should be washed in hot water with dishwashing soap or detergent. Bottle brushes should be used for bottles, and water should be squeezed through the nipples to be sure they are open. After washing, the equipment should be rinsed thoroughly and air-dried. A dishwasher with heated water and a hot drying cycle is ideal for washing the bottles and other equipment. Some nipples, however, may deteriorate quickly when put in dishwashers and must be washed by hand. Many authorities believe formula-fed infants younger than 3 months require additional precautions. Therefore, in addition to all the precautions taken with infants older than 3 months, many recommend that water used for diluting the powder or formula concentrate be sterile. This can be accomplished by boiling the water at least 5 minutes. It is also recommended that after use, the equipment, nipples, bottles, measuring cups, and can opener, be thoroughly washed and then sterilized by boiling them for the time recommended by the manufacturer. Not all items can withstand boiling. When the bottles are cool enough, they are covered with nipples and caps and stored for future use. It is important to note the integrity of nipples after washing and/or sterilizing. Some deteriorate rapidly after being in the dishwasher or being boiled. Those that become gummy or cracked or do not flow properly should be discarded. To test the strength of the nipple, pull on the bulb portion during washing. Because formula is a perfect environment for microorganisms, especially when it remains at room temperature for very long, there are some general infection prevention guidelines concerning its handling and storage. Most formula is prepared shortly before serving. Formula that is newly made but not going to be served right away should be placed immediately in the refrigerator, and it should stay there until just before the infant drinks it. Refrigerated prepared liquid concentrate and ready-to-use formulas should be used within 48 hours. The opened can of formula should also be refrigerated. It should be tightly covered and used within 48 hours. If there is any chance that the formula could remain in the refrigerator longer than 48 hours, the can should be labeled with the date. Powdered formula does not need to be refrigerated until it is mixed with water. If it is prepared ahead of time, the bottle of formula should be refrigerated and used within 24 hours. If there is no refrigeration available, each bottle must be made as needed and given to the child immediately. A powdered formula is usually selected. Any formula left in a bottle after a feeding must be thrown away, not saved and used later. Enzymes and microorganisms from the infant's saliva enter the bottle during a feeding, and reheating the bottle or refrigerating it will not prevent these microorganisms from multiplying. When traveling away from home, the parent should never carry warm formula. The bottle should, instead, be taken from the refrigerator and put in an insulated bag or container, along with a freezer pack that keeps them cold. The temperature of the formula should be kept under 40 degrees, and a thermometer should be used to check it. Although the child may be fed formula that is cool, the bottles may be warmed by standing them in hot water for a few minutes. In review, formula should be prepared by exactly following the instructions on the containers. Methods for preventing the formula from becoming contaminated include hand washing before preparing formula, washing equipment thoroughly, sterilizing equipment for very young infants, and taking precautions with formula to prevent microorganisms from multiplying, such as promptly refrigerating formula and throwing away leftover formula. Feeding the infant requires the parent or caregiver to be sensitive to the infant's cues. Some newborns are sleepy for the first day or two and sleep for long intervals without waking up to eat. However, long periods between feedings, that is, over 4 hours, should be avoided. Typically, newborns signal hunger every 2 to 3 hours.
Where's that bottle? Huh? Where's that bottle? What? You ready? Come on.
With time, most fall into a pattern of 6 to 8 feedings a day, about 3 to 5 hours apart. She should be fed until satisfied, and not urged to finish the bottle if uninterested. Most infants prefer formula to be warmed to room temperature, although some will drink a bottle that comes directly from the refrigerator. Formula can be warmed by holding it under hot running water, or by placing it in a bowl of hot water for a short period of time. The temperature of the formula should be checked by sprinkling a few drops of it on the inside of the wrist. It should feel lukewarm. Bottles should never be heated in the microwave, as the heating is uneven. Some of the milk may be cool while some spots may be scalding. Also, the outside of the bottle may feel cool while the inside is too hot. Serious burns to the infant can result. The nipple's hole should be large enough so that when the bottle is held with the nipple down, the formula drops slowly, about 1 drop per second. The infant should be held close to the caregiver, with the head a little higher than the rest of the body to prevent milk from backing up in the inner ear and causing an ear infection. The bottle should never be propped. Such a practice is discouraged for many reasons, including the threat of the infant inhaling the contents, as well as the increased risk of ear infection. Also, older infants whose teeth have come in may fall asleep with the propped bottle, causing the teeth to be bathed in the formula. As a result, the natural sugars in the milk are digested by the bacteria normally found in the baby's mouth, leaving an acid that literally eats away the tooth enamel, a condition called baby bottle tooth decay. Another reason not to prop the bottle is that feeding should be a time of enhanced interaction between the parent and the child, providing emotional benefits to them both. To alert a young baby to an imminent feeding, the parent should stroke the cheek with the finger. This will prompt the baby to turn toward the side that is touched and purse the lips. The nipple can then be gently placed between the lips. The bottle should be angled so that the formula completely fills the nipple, preventing the infant from sucking in air. As the baby drinks, air bubbles should be visible in the bottle. Bubbles will not be seen with disposable bottle liners, which deflate automatically, preventing air pockets. The amount of formula a newborn drinks for the first day or two after birth is usually small, about 1/2 to 1 ounce at each feeding. Older infants, of course, take more. About halfway through the feeding, the bottle can be removed from the mouth and the child burped. Some may need more frequent burping if they fuss or let go of the nipple after taking just a small amount. The best position for burping is for the infant to be stretched out and upright over the parent's shoulder. Rubbing or patting the back may help. With newborns, holding the infant in a sitting position is often recommended because it is a little easier to support the head with the hand along the jawline. If the child does not burp after about 3 minutes, she probably does not need to burp. Most babies bring up some milk along with the air. Some authorities recommend that the caregiver alternate arms during the feeding to expose infants to different stimuli, something else to look at. Breastfed infants normally experience this change in stimuli when the mother switches breasts. The feeding should not be hurried, but the caregiver should be alert for signs that the infant has had enough. These include the infant ceasing to suck, letting go of the nipple, rejecting it, or falling asleep. The caregiver should never force the infant to finish all the formula in the bottle. An infant's appetite, like an adult's, varies, and forcing the child to empty the bottle can lead to overweight. After feeding, the infant should again be burped and then placed with her head higher than the stomach for about 10 to 15 minutes. This can be accomplished by putting the child in an infant seat or propping up the head of a cradle or bassinet. The formula-fed infant should not be given baby vitamins or iron, because the commercially prepared formulas are already enriched with these nutrients. Fluoride supplementation is recommended after 6 months of age if the water used for preparing the formula is not fluoridated, or if the infant is drinking ready-to-use formula that has no additional fluoride. There are some bottle feeding practices that are common but should be avoided. Many parents add cereal to a baby's formula in the belief that the added food will prompt the infant to sleep through the night. Research has demonstrated, however, that introduction of cereal does not do this. It does, however, add excess calories leading to overweight, and it may cause the baby to choke. Older infants are often allowed to go to bed with a bottle filled with formula or juice. This practice should also be avoided as it causes, as noted earlier, baby bottle tooth decay. Similarly, older infants should not be carrying around a bottle filled with juice or formula and drinking from it as desired. And of course, flavorings such as chocolate or strawberry should not be added to milk, as they add extra sugar and calories and accustom the infant to sweetness. After each feeding and before putting an infant to bed, the caregiver should gently brush the child's teeth or wipe milk or food residue from the child's gums with a damp washcloth. If the child needs to suck in order to go to sleep, a pacifier should be offered. In review, in general, formula feeding should be a pleasant, shared experience. Be given at a leisurely pace with the caregiver, alternating arms to provide different stimuli. The caregiver should not heat the formula in a microwave. Prop the bottle. Force the infant to finish all the milk in a bottle. Give vitamins or iron when they are in the formula. Add cereal to the bottle, or allow the child to walk around or go to sleep with the bottle. Almost all mothers know that breastfeeding is better for their child than formula feeding, and often their decision to breastfeed is strengthened when they are given education regarding the benefits of breast milk. If, however, after hearing about the advantages of breastfeeding and understanding the potential risks of formula, a woman decides that she wants to bottle feed, she should not be pressured or criticized for her decision or be made to feel guilty.
Yeah, I've done my research, and I just physically am not comfortable with breastfeeding. I think I'm going to stick to the formula, but I'll definitely take this and read up a little bit more.
Infants benefit most when their mothers have a therapeutic, long-lasting relationship with healthcare professionals, a relationship in which the mother's reasonable choices are respected.